Hey everyone, welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. Well, you guys, you get to meet another member of the Do the Thing community today. I swear this community has the most unbelievable people in it. It has been just such a privilege to be a part of something where people are just open and vulnerable and really trying to live their best lives and go through the growth and all the challenges that come with really tapping into who you are. And my next guest is a real leader in that path, in that she is constantly going outside of herself to stretch her comfort zone. And she keeps going further and further. And it's been amazing to get a chance to see her grow. And I wanted to bring her on because we're at kind of a really cool point where she's done a few Do the Thing challenges already. And then she's about to do the Start a Podcast challenge. And I think a lot of people think that when someone's doing something new because they've done another thing already, that they're not scared. And I thought this would be a good time to bring her on because I'm imagining there's so many feelings coming up right now as she's about to embark on this new challenge. And even though she's gone through so much growth on the other challenges, and I think this is a big piece of Do the Thing that I really want to help people understand is just because you're doing it, it doesn't mean that it's easy, but the growth while you're doing it and being able to enjoy the process and have that personal development while you're doing the thing, then when you get to the growth on the other side, it's actually kind of magical when you look back. So on that note, I am excited to welcome Norma to the show. Hey, Norma.
Hi, Stacey. Nice to see you again.
Oh my gosh, it's always so great to see you. I just feel lighter when we get a chance to talk.
Yeah, there's been some heaviness and heavy growth and a lot of heavy stuff that's been going on. So, but it's good to be here and to maybe explain some of my heaviness. Maybe whoever's listening, maybe they can let their heaviness down and move on.
I love that because I think a lot of times people don't talk about the challenges that people have through all of the things. And when you're able to work through it and then get to the other side and you're ready to kind of process it and move forward, there's just this special moment that you're in this growth spurt. And for anyone that is not watching and you're listening, I'm doing this weird thing with my hands right now. I tend to like to do that now on the podcast, but it's like something's pulling you back, but then you're trying to move forward and you're fighting it because it's hard to walk through. But you know, once you nudge forward, you're getting there. And that's where you know the gold is on the other side. While even though it's hard, you're still slightly enjoying it because you know you're growing and you're getting to feel this magic. So anyway, I'd love to talk about that a little bit too.
Oh, yeah. I do feel like I'm in between two worlds. It's this comfort zone of the people pleaser. But then it's also this point where, oh shit, I'm a people pleaser and I'm moving away from it. So it's almost like this magnet. It's going back and forth and it's pulling me this way, pulling me that way. And then you feel the pull. It's very heavy. At the same time, I'm cleansing myself with some, I don't know, there's things that are happening that I know I need to leave that away. So how I'm experiencing this, I'll go back a little bit. I joined Weight Watchers about a month ago. And every time I lost an ounce, I get on the scale in the morning. I'm like, yes, that's an ounce. So that's how I'm describing my people pleasing. I'm putting down an ounce at a time. You're leaving it back and it's staying there and it's not coming back to me. So it's I have to have a visual on it and say, I feel bad. I feel like I left some people behind. I feel guilty. I feel so many emotions, but I have to look at those ounces that I left behind as victories for me to find me, because now I'm at a cross point where who am I really? And changing into a different type of people pleasing. It's a different perspective. So that's how I'm identifying. So when I get on the scale in the morning and I lost an ounce, it could be an ounce. Now I'm down 12 pounds.
Nice.
So yeah, it just goes to show where I'm at. And so when I give myself a victory, what can I learn today? How can I handle things differently? But also at the same time, it makes you hyper vigilant. Like, am I pleasing this person for the right reasons? So it comes with some other baggage. But I think in time, it's making me stronger to say at least I'm aware of it and I can handle things differently. And yesterday was one of those days at work where I handled things differently, and it was very nice. I thought, oh yeah, that's a heavy 12-pound victory for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'd love to share with the listeners. So what Norma's talking about is she listened to the People Pleaser episode on the Do the Thing podcast with Dr. Nancy, and it was something I've been going through. I've had the people pleasing thing for a while, and it's been something that I've been working on. And so I'm working through this quiz right now for you guys where I'm doing this, what's stopping you from doing the things you want? And one of the personas is the people pleaser, because with the people pleaser, you have no time. You're constantly doing things for other people. So your time is not your own. Not to say that you're not okay to do things for other people, but when you're doing them, we want it to come from a place of inside, not because you're seeking validation from others. And so I'd love to just kind of talk about how that episode affected you and then how you got to this point where now you're really starting to acknowledge what's been happening.
Well, when I listened to the podcast about people pleaser, it really crushed me. It crushed my heart, my soul, everything. And like I said before, to know that I did this to myself. I didn't have those skills. I was very, very young when I found out with my mom at the age about 6 or 7 years old when my dad died. I was trying to please her, make her happy again. And so that was kind of where all that trait came from. And then I never wanted anybody to feel what I felt growing up, like your whole life changed. You don't have your father anymore, and your mother is emotionally passed. So you're trying to make sure no one else feels that way. And I think that's another thing I developed. I don't want no one to feel sad, so I'll do whatever I can to make them not sad. I'll take care of them because I wasn't taken care of. So I kind of developed these traits that they might be good traits, but not the way I was doing it. I didn't have good traits doing it. I actually did it for the right reasons. I didn't want them to feel sad or pain or anything like that. So those were the right reasons. They weren't to validate myself. But as time goes by, you do look at what you did to yourself by people pleasing other people, always giving of your time. Yeah, I'll exercise later and I'll do what they need. And if you don't, you feel guilty. So you want to do double duty so that guilt will go away. So it really is pleasing yourself in the wrong kind of way by giving it to somebody else. And it's just a crashing burn, that sinking feeling inside that was like, how could I have done this to myself? But I didn't have the skills. I was young. But 51 years later, here I am finding out now, just by that podcast just set me thinking, wow, that was my missing piece of my puzzle, because I have gone to therapy, say, what can I do? How can I fix myself? And, a therapist would say, just tell yourself every day you like yourself. And I'm like, yeah, that's not doing it. There was something that I needed, like very concrete, something that they weren't giving me. They were just telling me, just tell yourself you like yourself and just tell people no and just different things. And there was something so missing. And throughout years, I just felt not pulled together. And then when I heard that, I'm like, that's my missing piece. I am so busy giving myself away, I didn't give to myself. And so when we look at that, like they always say, when you're on a plane, put the oxygen mask on yourself so you can help other people. Well, I was giving them my oxygen mask. And so I felt empty and depleted and out of sorts and valued their opinion more than I valued my own. There's so many dynamics that come to people pleasing and how you lose yourself in all kinds of ways. And now I'm at this point where I'm actually saying, who am I? And it's scary because that's a very hard question for myself. I know I'm very strong. I know I have a lot of intuitions that I never follow because I'm here. I know that I have a drive. I know that I have this happiness inside of me, yet I still feel lonely. So by finding that piece of the puzzle, I'm going through loneliness right now as I'm rebuilding myself. But it's because you're moving out of your comfort zone. So now it's this whole new world and you're kind of doing it all by yourself and still kind of without guidance. Like you're trying to figure yourself out. But now I have questions that I want answered. Like, how can I get to the next level of myself with dignity, without people pleasing, but still maintain my kindness. So there's a lot of work that's still going on.
Yeah, I totally get that. I actually, because I worked with Dr. Nancy directly too. And so it's something where she's helped me personally with it. And I remember before I would do anything, there was a while when I was still working through with this thing. My first instinct when someone needs something, it's for me to help them out of my heart. But I had a thing where I had to ask her first so she could help me kind of identify if it was coming from inside or coming from outside. And so anyway, now I actually am able to pause and do it on my own because it's been a while since it's been through. But it is very hard because your instinct is to want to give. But then what happens is there's nothing left for you.
Right. Yeah, you have to, one no at a time is basically where I'm going with it. One no. Somebody asks, I don't have to say no. Usually I would be like, oh yeah, I'll do it now. Can I get back to you? And let me think about it. I'm not really sure. I may have other plans. So I'm giving myself pause when I'll say no. And any interaction I have with someone, I'm kind of doing that right now until it becomes very habitual that, like you said, you'll know right away without asking yourself. It'll become a better habit.
Yeah. I'd love to hear. So it's great because now you're self-aware and you feel like you found that missing piece and now you're still doing the work to get through it. And I'd love to hear how, because you were in the Find Your Voice Challenge, the Start a Book Challenge, how have those challenges sort of helped you in addition to finding that episode?
Oh, I guess, I really had to search inside and restart my story from the beginning from basically when my dad died. I guess that's when a lot of my story begins, although there were stories beforehand because I remember fond memories of my mother giving us love and care. But it was then that I felt like I lost myself and I had to go back and I always say, what would you say to your younger self? And I guess that's where I'm at now. I'm going back and saying to that 6 or 7-year-old, your mom is still there and she loves you and she's going to be proud of you. All these things, you have to go back in time and talk to that person. Talk to your 12-year-old self. Talk to your 16-year-old self. And because there's a lot of things that happen when you become a people pleaser that you can't change the pattern of life that happened, but you have to go back and heal that. You can't just, oh, well, 51 years later, I got my piece and that's it. Now you have to kind of go back and rebuild your life emotionally. You have to do it because I think when you become a people pleaser, I think because I identify it when my father died, that's where I have to go back and heal and give myself those affirmations that I so wanted from my mother or my brother or life in general. And so that's what I'm doing during out life and kind of just reliving it in an emotional way. So it's difficult because you're still trying to reach for help and nobody's reaching out.
Yeah, you're getting to kind of see where things are, but with your eyes open now.
Yes. I know I got lost a little bit there, but I'm not sure how to say some of the things that are going on because sometimes you feel shame and you feel guilt. You feel stupid. Why didn't I know better? Well, I had no skills, but now I have the skills and I'm relearning life back over. Like I said, some people decided not to come along for the ride because I'm no longer pleasing them at their way. So you lose yourself and you lose people, but I'm hoping to find a healthier me along the way. And I think through all of this, it explains the relationships I've been in. It explains where I'm going. Just like a lot of things that become aware and you still feel beyond, wish I knew. But now, and I have to deal with right now. So I can't even say rebuild my self-worth, but start my self-worth right now. And so just little by little, just one healthy bite at a time, one extra step during the day, one less negative thought, just something to get that self-worth. Because I think with people pleasing, you lose your self-esteem and you lose your self-worth because your identity is no longer yours, it's theirs. That's the way I can feel right now.
Yeah, I'd love to hear too, for people that are listening and they're like, what is Norma talking about? People pleasing. Okay. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a lot like me. And so like for those people that are listening and that are like realizing, oh my gosh, I've been doing that. Since you're now a little bit into this, what's some advice you have for them?
Well, I think the advice is, how are you feeling? What's going on? I know with friends, they can take a lot of your time and it's, can you bring this up? Can you do this? Can you do that? Just different things. Like if you're aware of how you feel around that person, and then you have to stop and think. I have a best friend. I mean, we've been friends for 45 years. At this moment, we're not talking because I'm questioning her. Where is our boundary line? I need a boundary line. Like you're texting me at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I asked you not to. You don't care. And that was a boundary line for me. I need some space. And it kind of became like, what's wrong with me? Why can't we go back and do what we want? So you can read the text in the morning. You can do this. You can do that. So when you feel uncomfortable when somebody's not listening to you, and not that I wanted my friendship to end. I hope it's not going to completely end it, but I hope we give some space. But those were some tough. You have to ask, how do you feel about this person? Do you feel drained? I was feeling drained. Do you feel that you gave from your heart and not gave just to shut them up? I think that was another thing for me. It was like, yeah, here, I'll do it for you just so you can just go away. And those are some things that I was learning about myself. And also, I think that you want that friend in your life, or you doing it because you want something. And so you're going to give all of yourself for something. I think that was the key thing for me. I'm trying to change people for your needs. So kind of become so mixed up. But I know for me, I needed boundary lines. I didn't have anything. It was like, you want it, you can have it. And I paid a high price for that. So how do you feel? Because I know with my first marriage, I felt completely drained and empty. I was dead. There was no communication. There was nothing. And I walked after 27 years. I was with a man that I was already dead with. And there's no communication. And I stayed to please my kids. And the backlash of that is my son, who's older, said that no matter how old we are, divorce still hurts. And my daughter, who's the younger, said, Mom, why didn't you even years ago? You have these emotions. And I thought that I was taking care of myself, which I was. But he still had, my son wouldn't talk to me for a couple of years after that because he felt the family was broken and it was because of me. Oh, honey, that family was broken way before I left. But now that we talked and everything, I get it's different. But when you feel those types of things, you need to question yourself. Why are you staying? There's a lot of things. Sometimes I don't even want to talk about some of the things, but
yeah,
it's empty. And you feel empty every day. And then I left that relationship, went into another relationship 2 years later, and I stayed for 10 years in that one. And in the beginning, everything was puppy dogs. But then after a while, they learned how to train a people pleaser. They know how to say the right things at the right moment to get 110% out of you while they are only given 0. They know you want that words of affirmation or something like that. And you're like, oh, you love me. Yeah, I'll do all of this. But then when the smoke clears and you finally see for what it really is, yeah, that was something that I noticed myself. So, yeah, it was hard. And then when I came to this apartment 2.5 years ago, like I said, with nothing, I had COVID, no one here to take care of me because no one can come in, no furniture, no nothing. And then that's when you do realize, like, how did you get here? And that's when I was seeking therapy. And it's like, nobody could just say no. And this is where you're at. And said, well, I know where I'm at, but how can I prevent myself from going in that same direction? And that's when your podcast, The People Pleaser, we gave that to me. That was my missing piece. And that was like, yeah, I'm going to stand up now and I'm going to be my soldier.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take care of myself in the right way. And I don't need a man by my side because that's what my aunt said. We would be nothing without a man. No, I'm better off without a man. So I find it right. But yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to hear, how did you originally find out about Do the Thing? How did you get into the community in the first place?
When I was at my apartment, you couldn't go anywhere. Everything was closed. And I thought in my wacko head with my aunt said, you'll never be nothing without a man. And so I started doing dating sites, and those proved to be just horrible. I mean, they were the pictures, who they were. I would write things down later. Next time we have a conversation, I would say hi. And they had no clue what they were telling me. And so I was just like, oh, I'm done with this. And then for some reason on Facebook, it was Do the Thing dating. And I thought, well, this is different. This looks healthy. This looks, I don't know what it was, but it was very attractive. And so when I joined, and I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be a dating site, but we're going to actually see people. Well, as I said before, it became a dating it to yourself. You're dating yourself now. Your self-discovery and what do you like, and all. It was just a lot of like all of your challenges. And it was really, really nice because it was like, I mean, I want to say, where's Waldo? And that's kind of how I thought about it. So we're going to go out and talk to the stranger, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. So it's like this where's Waldo type kind of thing. And so I enjoyed it because I am adventurous like that. So I'm not very, I think I'm shy, but I'm not that shy. So nice. And then through this whole journey, I thought, wow, this is who I am. This is who I am. This is what I like. And so I'm starting to discover myself. And between that and then Do the Thing, write a book, and now do the podcast, there were so many things that are just intertwining with each other.
Yeah.
But yet they're unraveling at the same time. So I don't know. It was weird. It was like the other day I was in my closet looking for an outfit, and I thought, oh, I don't even like these clothes. These are clothes that my friends had picked, and you should wear this, you should wear that. And I'm, oh yeah. And like, I never felt comfortable in my own clothes. So I was people pleasing. Okay, I'll wear for you. So there's just so many things, but your Do the Thing podcast, Do the Thing dating, Do the Thing book, it just was all these steps that have gotten me here. And I know I sound all mixed up because I am a little bit mixed up because there's so many thoughts in your head and you're scared to say what you're really feeling. So you're trying to hold back a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah. And I'm excited for you because I feel like you're right on the cusp of it. And I feel like as you go through this next challenge, everything that you've done already is leading you to this one. And with how you take the challenges and you're able to do the dares, I just know that the growth is going to come from you doing the challenge, but then also after it too. And I think it's going to just be that extra hump that's going to help a lot. So I'm so excited about that for you.
I think when we did the interview for the dating, and I said, I feel like he's here. He's there within arm's reach. I still feel that. And when I did the voice recording for the other day, I felt so sad and so lonely and stuff like that. But I know it's just a transformational thing that you go through, like a cleansing. But I still feel like he's there. He's just right around me. I'm not allowing myself to be opened yet. And so I know with the next challenge, I think maybe the podcast or with the new dating challenge, I think that I'm ready. I'm so ready for it. Before I was still scared. And I think I was scared not of the challenges, but of not knowing who I was because I was a people pleaser. And I was so afraid that getting into another relationship, no matter what it was, a friendship, a coworker, that I was going to be too giving, and because that was my identity. And I was so afraid that if I got into a relationship, that I would become that person again. Or now I'm like, oh no, oh, hell no, So, no.
Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of what I wanted with the dating challenge. I noticed so many people were kind of exhausted and depleted, and it was just coming off of dating apps and the whole thing. And so that's where these other challenges came up, because originally I was just doing the dating challenge, and then these other challenges came up. because I wanted to build people back up again. So then when you went out dating, you'd meet someone where you're at now, not someone at the lower level.
And that's where I feel like with my self-worth, this is where I'm at now, but every day I'm one healthier bite or one healthier thought. And that builds your self-esteem up and self-worth because you gave it away. People pleasers just give it away and then they wonder why they're so depleted because they don't even realize they're doing it. But if they could just see how is this person making me feel, and there's challenges with life. You can't do every day, but that's a different type of feeling tired. But just people in general. I left one of my jobs because of that, because I was exhausted with the person I was working for and it was time for me to leave. I was coming home crying every day and I was like, I just want to tell her. And it was like, of course I'm not going to tell her. So I would leave that job crying every day because I had to release all that energy. And I was like, oh, I had to leave. So I left it and I'm in a better place, but changes is hard. And you go back and even into this job I'm at now, you still want to please your boss. You want to do good work and be recognized for it. So you are a people pleaser in the right way. So there is a wrong and there's a right. So you feel good leaving that not only you're going to get a paycheck, but your integrity you left on that table.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think the difference between what type of people pleaser are you, because there are good and bad.
Yeah. I'd love to hear what else you've learned doing the challenges. What other things have you learned about yourself or about people?
People will use you as long as you let them. I hate to say it like that, but they will use you. But there's a lot of good people at this community that you have going on. Everybody seems to be missing something, and that's why we all connect. It's like this one big, it is a big community, and there's no judgment, which I think with your friends or family or work life, there's always judgment. Mm-hmm. And I think with this community that you have established, there is no judgment, or at least nobody's expressing it.
Mm-hmm.
No, there really isn't. I think people are like, wow, she went through that too. And I don't feel so bad about myself.
Yeah.
We're not shaming anybody. We all feel empathy towards people. And I think I won't change my kindness. I'm changing who I give it to. I think that's one thing that even with my family, my daughter especially, like, can you pick me up from work? She gets off at 11:30 at night. I'm up at 5. I finally said, get a car or get an Uber because I can't continue spending 3 years on you have to make a change. Mm-hmm. And she was mad for a while, but she found her dad to do it for her. So it's okay. So I realized like, I feel guilty. Like, is she going to be okay? Is she going to be right? You go through these scenarios in your head. She's okay. She found someone else to, and those people do, they will find somebody. I don't want to talk negative about my daughter. She'll be fine. She's strong-willed and she'll find someone. But I was always the mom, the giver. Yeah, mom, give it to you all. But I'm finding just loneliness right now is what I'm finding. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a good loneliness, not the loneliness I felt with the people that were in my life. I mean, I still have certain friends, but my long-term friend, I'm still wondering what's going to happen with that. But I felt lonely in that relationship. I felt exhausted in that relationship, where now I feel lonely, but not in an exhausted way. Maybe I want life to happen immediately. Like, okay, come on, move out my life. It doesn't work that way. Time, you have to let it work itself out. Be patient. And maybe that was another thing. I was rushing life. I always said I'd never stop with smaller roses. Well, yeah, I'm learning to do that. And my morning, I do have my morning time when I listen to the birds and drink my tea, but the rest of my life is busy. I don't know what happened from the time I left my house to the time I got back. It's like, what happened? It's a whirlwind. I'm learning to slow down a little bit, enjoy people, know that we all have struggles and that we all need support, and that some people they were meant to just not be there in your life for a reason. Mm-hmm. But I'm learning more. I just, maybe too many things I self-reflected so much that you feel like you owe the world like you didn't belong in the world or something like that. Like you're a misfit. There was a lot of things that I was going through. Like maybe I wasn't meant to be here. Maybe there's another world out there that like that lead of misfit toys.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is it. Maybe you're do the thing. Maybe that's
it's so funny that you say that. I refer that sometimes when I join groups because I like to join groups where it is the land of misfit kids because I've always felt different. I'd love to hear about how you're feeling about the Startup Podcast Challenge.
Oh, well, I mean, just in your pre-there, watching it, it's so exciting, especially where Deb, how she evolved. I'm so astounded. She is just so in charge of herself. She always says she's unstoppable. So I'm hoping that I come out half unstoppable because she really is a take charge kind of person, but she knows who she is at her core. And I'm not there yet. And I think that this podcast will pull more out of me. And so that's what I'm hoping to gain. And who knows, maybe I'll look back on this a year from now and say, oh, who is that person?
Yeah.
Not her anymore.
I would love to hear what you're nervous about for the Startup Podcast Challenge. What's scaring you? Is there anything that's kind of lingering there?
Maybe, how you're portrayed, how people review you. Do you really have anything to say? I always say sometimes I do have that Peter Pan in me. Is it going to come across so mature that people are going to be like, oh, that's hogwash, I'm just going to shut it off? Or am I ever be able to touch somebody and reach out and, yeah, I'm glad I listened to her or something like that. So there's back and forth, up and down. Fear is always there. I think everybody's got that fear of being rejected. So yeah, I'm just going to go for it because I probably will never run into you. Who knows? I don't know. Going on a trip in 2 months, so who knows? I might run into somebody.
Yeah. What has you doing it anyway? How are you able to get yourself to do it?
I'm a fighter. I like challenges. Rejection is so hard. When I was leaving my job, I knew I had to find a job before I left the job. That's what everybody says. And it's true. You really need to be in a job. And so you go on these interviews and you're like, well, they either like you or they don't like you. And you go on and put yourself out there. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at it as interviews. You're either going to catch people or you're not. That's just, what else can you do? So I hope that I help somebody. There's a lot of things that you don't realize that you're doing to yourself. And as I do self-discovery, and maybe I'll write little short stories, and then that'll be my podcast about certain scenarios in life. But I think that life it was handed to me, and here's a deck of cards, and I had to figure it out. And some things I think I did very well, and some things fell miserably at, but that's okay. I'm here. So I'm just going to look at it as interview. That's what we're doing now, actually.
Yeah, I think you're a pro already. It's your second one, so.
And the more you talk, the more you get comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it's hard for me to put my heart into words, and sometimes like that recording, it was probably raw for me. But when you start thinking and really thinking, and you can get there, it's a lonely place to be. But I have nothing to lose, because if you don't move, you're going to be right at the same spot. So I have to challenge myself to get out of here, get moving.
Yeah. Do you mind talking about that, the quote, what happened with that? Because I think that's probably cool for people to hear what happened there. So just to give you guys some clarity around the voice note Norma's talking about, she messaged me a quote that was so compelling that it moved me as I read it. And then I knew she was joining the Startup Podcast Challenge, so I gave her just a personal dare and said, hey, why don't you just read that quote and then say what comes alive for you as you're reading it? And then she sent me a really beautiful voice note about what it meant. I'd love to just kind of talk about that for a minute, because I feel like there's a lot in that people don't realize. You can just read something and look at it one way and it impacts you one way. But when you can verbalize it and activate your voice, it changes the meaning completely.
Yeah, that's probably something you should just play. Just push play, because that's when you're in that moment and something catches you emotionally, it grabs you, and there's a lot of emotion behind it. So,
how does it change for you when you just look at a quote with your eyes and then all of a sudden you voice it? What was that like for you?
well, I think it was almost your people-pleasing podcast. Like when you hear it and then you reflect deep inside and those words are speaking to you on the inside and you're like, wow, there's something about it that becomes that voice for you that you've been trying to get out. And so when I listened to that, I was reading that mem and I thought, wow, this is something I need to learn to be kind to myself with. And because it almost gives you a pause in life, there's a lot of raw emotions with that. And sometimes you don't know what's going to catch you. I think that's what happens is something that catches you unexpectedly. And then all these emotions are flowing through. You can hear it, I think, a million times, but finally I'm hearing it the right way. It can change what you've been trying to get at for a long time. I can't even put into words. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, Norma, you just did. It was amazing. What you're saying is so important because it really speaks to what I'm doing with these challenges. And you keep saying how I'm creating the space for you guys and all that stuff that you're amazing and sweetness that you're always saying. And literally what you just said articulated exactly what I've been trying to do. I'm trying to show everybody how these different ways, whether it's writing a book or finding your voice or dating and meeting people or now starting a podcast, all these different ways that you're putting out information, getting your voice activated and being able to free your thoughts, it changes everything. And it's like, you can't just do it one way. I mean, you can, but to get the most growth, it's being able to do it all these different ways. And then when the podcast challenge starts, then you get to do it like we're doing it with another, and you get to have these great conversations with it, which then opens up a whole nother layer of healing and growth.
Yeah. Healing, everybody's interpretation of healing, it doesn't go away. What's going on in your life doesn't go away. It's learning how to be different with what was done or said or whatever. So you don't have to beat yourself up all the time, or you don't have to replay that record over. Just change it, because playing that same scenario over and over and over, I had to put a stop to that because I was doing that. So what's the matter with me? What is the matter with me? And nothing's the matter with me. It was actually, when I look at it, people pleasing, I'm a kind person. And there's people that were not, maybe they weren't so kind. If they can sit there and take advantage of me and I'm asking, could you not do this or do that? And they didn't respect me, then it's more about them, not about me. So there was some of that learning that I had gained through that too, that it wasn't just me, but I played a huge part. And I think that was a big thing for me too, is I can own what I've done to my own self. I can't say they did it. I was a part of it. And that's what the stems on me too. It's two people in that game, no matter who you're with. If you're with a partner or you're with a friend or whomever, there's two people or more. But
yeah, what do you want to say to Norma 5 or 6 weeks from now after she's done with the podcast challenge?
Oh my gosh. I hope to say you did it. I don't know. Your dreams came true. You're a warrior. Continue to be that for, I don't want to say everyone else, but I do, because I kind of felt like I was a warrior and in a lot of people's lives. And, I helped protect a lot of them. And I got hurt along the way, but I still want to be that warrior, but more, I don't know. I don't want to say aware warrior, but I feel, I don't know, she's coming. I guess she's coming. That's all I got to say. She's coming. So how about in 5 weeks we find out?
Yeah. What advice do you have for people that haven't joined the community yet, or maybe they just joined? What advice do you have for them, at least in joining or in being able to do the challenges?
Don't miss out on your opportunity. This is it. If you will find something about yourself that says, I need to come back. It's not because you're missing something. It's because you're exploring yourself and you want to explore more. So jump in. Don't let this pass. Just go for it. The first time it might seem silly and like, oh, what's this? But at the same time, you're just like, I'm it. I can't let it go. And I think what you said yesterday about you want to do some dares for the other people so they don't feel left out if they're not in the podcast. Keep them engaged, because some people, once you close the book, they may not ever pick it back up. Mm-hmm. So I think that these people that if you haven't opened up the book, open it up, because this is an amazing adventure that you're going to go on, and you're going to be thankful that you did it. And I always say, why didn't I find it sooner? You're going to feel the same way. There's just, on a side note, we'll do that side note later as a couple of things. But just jump in. It's fun. It costs you nothing, and you will feel better about yourself. You'll meet amazing people. Stacy, our host, she's amazing. Come on, you got to give her a hand, because it's all about us. It's not even about her. And I think we give her all the credit, but she's given us all the credit, and that's what makes this work. So dive in, jump in.
What would be your number one piece of advice for people on doing the thing?
Have fun. I think that if you are in your head, get out of it. What's the worst that can happen? I went through one of the challenges and I did stop, but it was because of someone that made me stop, or I let them make me stop, I should say. But just keep going. Be as silly as you can be. Embrace all of it. It is so much fun. Who knows what will come out of it? You might find a new love. You might find yourself. You might find a new hobby. You might find new friends. There's so many things that can happen here. So just go for it. It's just so much fun. It's almost like an addiction. It's like, what's coming next? But it's what's coming next for me. But then when I see other people that are growing, and they're growing a little bit faster because I'm out on my own journey. And some of them already had surpassed some of the things that I'm just dealing with now. So I always try to live life like, I think one of the things is, for me, it's a turtle and a hare. I was so busy trying to be the hare, and now I want to be the turtle. I want to smell everything that goes along the way in my travels, and I don't want to miss a thing, because the end is coming, whether we like it or not. So why not be the turtle in your life and have fun?
Thank you so much for doing this with me, Norma. I always enjoy getting a chance to talk to you, and I can't even tell you how excited I am to see you in the Start a Podcast Challenge. I think it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And it's always a pleasure. And I can't wait to see what comes out of this and hear everybody else's podcast. I think it's going to be great because there's so many things I want to learn from people. So thank you for having me again.
Yeah. And for the listeners, do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.
Create it.
Woo.